Well, hello, everybody. Happy Monday morning to you all. Another beautiful day. Fall is in the air here in the Coachella Valley, and I don't know about anywhere else, but I can tell you out here it's absolutely churning. The weather's turning absolutely marvelous. With, can't really complain about it. Beautiful, beautiful weather. I'm liking it because I can maybe ride not so early in the morning now and get away with an afternoon ride, which is kind of nice. So, but I'm sure everywhere else, I think Kathy Powers, you're up in Washington. I hear quite cold up there, maybe even getting some snow. So, and some people up north, Northern California, are getting a lot of snow. Montana's getting hammered, and here we are in beautiful southern sunny California. 80-degree weather, 75-degree weather. I think it was 60 some degrees here this morning. So it's absolutely wonderful. I'm liking it right now. I don't like the heat. I don't like the heat, but we made it last week. I think after, I'm not sure where we're at, but I can't remember. There's so much going on, but my wife's father passed away. I think I told you a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, actually. We got through that funeral okay. It was actually a celebration of life, not so much a funeral. And got through that. Everything was good. And it's been a busy couple of weeks. So here we are again, chapter 4, concluding chapter 4 of Healing the Wounded Child Within. We're talking about coping mechanisms. What I want to do is, we talked about the maladaptive coping mechanisms last week, and I forgot one really important one. And I say it's important because it's actually a really bad one. And its root is codependency at the greatest, and it's seeking approval or approval seeking. And it's possible, and the reality is it's really possible that seeking approval is the single most common and by far the most painful addiction ever created by mankind. It's more, some of us believe, hey Jay, some of us believe that's even more devastating than heroin, more addictive than cocaine, and more ambiguous than food. The desperate need for approval has done more harm than any substance ever could. And that might be kind of hard to believe, but it really isn't, because it destroys who we are as people. When we give up our happiness to start seeking approval of others, several things can happen. One, we give up our freedom, we give up our happiness, we give up our joy just to make other people happy. And then some of us, like myself early on, I was seeking approval so badly because I wasn't getting it at home. I wasn't getting acknowledgement. I wasn't getting approval. I wasn't getting acceptance. So I was going to do whatever it took for me to get that approval, to get that acceptance. If that meant doing drugs that I knew was wrong to do and drinking that I knew was wrong to do. Hey, Bob, how are you? Then I was going to do the drinking and drugging. So you see, it wasn't the drugs that started out being the killer of it all. The root of the killing is approval seeking. Because if I had got a lot of approval at home, if I'd had a lot of acceptance at home, the likelihood of me reaching out and looking for approval wherever I could get it, i.e. the drug world, probably wouldn't have happened. Okay, so if you have a hard time believing that, then there's a couple things this is all in my book. More harm has been done in the name of love, for wanting to be loved, than has been done purely for the desire to be evil. So the desire to be loved. Example, these school shootings, the kids that are shooting up these schools. I always say, when I hear what's wrong with the people, these kids, I always say, mom and dad, go look in the mirror, and there lays the problem. Now, not all parents, okay, and I understand that, but there's something missing in their life. And the most important thing we need, hold on a second. My dog is like driving me crazy. The most important things that we as young children need is we need to love, approval, and acceptance from our parents. So if we're not getting it, we're gonna find it elsewhere. And I had a dog trainer that believe it or not had it. He said it so perfectly. As he trained several of my dogs, and he did it with nothing but positive affirmation. In fact, when a dog made a mistake, he ignored it. He would just simply pick it up, walk it back to where he was supposed to be sitting and staying, not saying a word to it, put it back in the spot, help it sit down, and say, sit. And he would do that until the dog sat and came when he called. And at that point, he made a big deal about what the dog had done. He didn't give it any negative attention, all positive. And that's when he explained it to me. Why do you think these kids get away with what they're getting away with? They want attention. They're seeking approval. No matter where or how they can get it, they want approval. And if you think about a kid that shoots up a school, he's on national news across the United States, around the world. Look at the attention he is getting now. I always say, do you hear me now, Mom and Dad? Do you see me now, Mom and Dad? Those are harsh words. There ain't no doubt about it. But the reality is, I guarantee you, in almost every one of them, and I actually heard a congressman say that we don't have a gun problem. We have a family problem with unresolved childhood traumas and ACEs and within the home that's causing all these problems. And he hit a point on the money. We lost God. We don't have love. We're entitlement. There's so much wrong with this world today. All for approval seeking. Addictions and depressions and desperate actions are often caused, right? I'm going to reiterate what I just said, are often caused by wanting to end the feeling of not being loved or accepted by others. So you see where this goes. Approval seeking is a deadly attribute or a coping mechanism. And reflecting on your own life, this is for you, reflecting on your own life, notice when you have said yes when you meant no in order to earn the approval of someone else. So you can see how the drugs and the alcohol, they can cause harm, they can cause death, they can cause all these problems, but the root of it is our approval seeking. Okay? So I missed that last week. I want to make sure I touched on it this morning. So let's go on to, like I was saying last week, let's go on to some constructive, some fun coping skills now. And this is what you all need in recovery. And I'm going to start, so I don't forget, I got a note in here, but whatever you do, don't become cross-addicted. Don't replace one addiction with another addiction. Okay? I hear this in the rooms of AA too much, and I hear it in churches, two different things. In church, well, you just need to pray more and be more grateful. Excuse me? Do you know how much I pray? Do you have any idea how grateful I am? It's because of those two things that I'm where I'm at today, that I'm not out there. Okay? So we can't, those things are very important. And the other one is, in AA, well, you're struggling today with some issues, just go help a newcomer. Get your mind off of it. Okay? I agree, we have to do that. I think it's very important, as a matter of fact. But that's not going to solve your problems. And that's not going to help the underlying issues that we all deal with. That's the real cause of our addictions. We have to stop and we have to look at ourselves, and that gets very uncomfortable. So that's where we need these constructive coping skills, and they can be anything at all. The main thing is they just have to make you feel genuinely good about yourself. And to what I was just saying, not distracted. You don't want to distract yourself from your issues and from the things you're dealing with in your head. Yeah, you might need to take a break, okay, to get the feel-good endorphins going in you. But too many people do things just to distract them from the real problems. Okay? So not just distracted or high on approval from others, but you want to become truly peaceful. Because there's going to come a time where these issues that you're dealing with, You're going to be all alone one night, and they're going to come up. And what are you going to do? Okay. You want to be able to call on these constructive coping mechanisms to get you through your rough times when you're by yourself. Okay. Most of the time, constructive coping skills, they just help us to relax, and they bring it into the now. So they help us relax, and they're going to bring us right into the now, right into the moment today. Okay, we got to take our focus off for that 1 minute or for that time, because generally when we're spinning, it's not about what's happening right now. It's about something in our past or something in our future. Okay, so some of the ones that I would do was cycling, and I still cycle. As a lot of you know, I run my bike across America. And that's a great place because you have to be mindful when you're on a cycle. When you're cycling on the road, bicycling on the road, you have to be mindful. You have to know everything that's going on all the time. So it brings you right into literally right into the now, right into the second. And that's where you want to be. And that's where I've had some of my best talks with God. I had a great one going across New Mexico. I don't have time to talk about it today, but it brings you into now. So cycling is one way to do it. But again, remember, don't be doing this to the point where don't be doing this to the point to where you're cross-addicting, where you're replacing one addiction with the other, where you're still avoiding home, where you're still avoiding your family, where you're still avoiding the things you got to do, just like you would do with alcohol. Don't replace one addiction with another addiction. You got to be really careful of this, okay? Another thing that I love to do is I love to hike. And hiking, we used to do the bump and grind down here in the Coachella Valley all the time. And hiking was a great release for me, a great time. I spent a lot of time with God on the bump and grind. And it got me back in connection with the God of my understanding today. And that's the God that's in heaven, the only God there really is. There's only one God. None of these false gods don't exist. Playing musical instruments, go back one. Meditating is another great way. And it's really hard at first because our mind's going 1,000 miles an hour. I understand that. Okay. But you just got to sit through that and let those moments of distraction go through you and go right back to your breath. Matter of fact, in my little workbook, the 7-day challenge, that's one of the challenges in there is mindful meditation, walking meditation, so on and so forth. Okay. The other thing I love to do is play my guitar. It might be piano for you, it could be violin, it could be whatever it is. Playing the guitar, because when I played the classical guitar, Spanish guitar, whatever I was feeling when I sat down to play it would come out of my guitar. So if I was being distracted, then when I played, I was distracted and I want to be hitting my notes right. So I knew that I had to come back to the now and again, stay mindful of right where I'm at. Same thing with meditating, same thing with hiking. I used to see people hiking all the time. They'd be buzzing up the hill as fast as they could. I'd tell them hi. They wouldn't even look at me. I'm going, why don't you slow down and enjoy the moment? Everybody's in a hurry to get up and get back and go to work. If you got a pet, I love playing with my dogs. I love just hanging out with them. They're happy that it's cooling off because now I can start taking them out for walks, and I don't kill my dogs in the heat. It's not right. Practicing yoga is another way to come back to yourself, get centered. Going for walks on the beach, I love that. I don't know, we're kind of far away from the beach, but I grew up on the beach, and my wife and I will go down there now and then, and we spend some time on the beach. We spend a lot of time in Maui whenever we can on the beach. It's such a grounding place for me. Surfing was my safe place when I was growing up as a kid. And the other thing I like to do is fish, because again, you're mindful. All these things are going to bring you into the now, which is what we need to do, because our minds are always, especially in recovery of any kind. I'm not just talking drugs or alcohol. So when I say the word recovery, we're not talking drugs and alcohol. We're talking a gamut of things. But we're always thinking about the past or the future. And what we need to do is stay right here in the now. Because in our worst times, we're okay right now at this second. We're breathing, our feet are on the ground, and we're okay. Okay? But again, I'm going to warn you, do not be careful. Do not become cross-addicted. Okay? Don't replace one thing with another. So if you start making it, and look, these are some of the things that I used. All right? And I'm going to go over a couple more, but You choose what's good for you. I mean, this was good for me, and you might have something that works a lot better for yourself, and that's okay, as long as it makes you feel comfortable, good about yourself, and peaceful. So you make these a part of my life. I make these a part of my life by replacing the old familiar ones of almost 4 decades were one of the hardest things that I've ever done. So we have all these addictions, we have all these things we've been doing for a very, very long time. And now you're saying, well, great, Randy. Now you want me to start doing this stuff? How am I supposed to get rid of the old stuff? One day at a time. Just pick one thing to start. It's going to take time. There is absolutely no rushing recovery. It takes time, period. You just got to stay consistent and keep walking. If you put half the effort you put into your drinking and drugging and addictions, half the effort, you're going to have a far better life than you ever thought. Okay. Remember, it's going to take a lot of daily practice and a lot of fist clenching patience. You've got to be patient with yourself. When I knew I needed help, what I did is I trusted the men and women who suggested that I trust in a higher power. Because I'll tell you right now, and there's no beating around the bush. If you don't have God at the center of your life, and I'm talking the God in heaven, the capital G-O-D, God, the capital P-O-W-E-R, higher power. If he is not in the center of your life, you're going to have a really hard time for the rest of your life trying to remain sober and get your life grounded. And I might turn a lot of people away, but that's okay. I'm not going to lie to you. And here's the thing and I just had another conversation with somebody the other day. I was extremely pissed off at God and angry at God when I got into AA. And I was told to pray, right? And it's like, what do you mean pray? Why should I pray? What's God done for me? And then I started looking at my life at everything that God had done for me. And I can remember the first prayer that I said. I got on my knees and says, God, I can't do this alone. I need your help. I don't want to be who I was. I want to be who you want me to be, but I can't do it alone. And that's the day that the obsession to drink and use was lifted from me. But what wasn't lifted from me was 38 years of painful memories and abuse. And that's what I had to work through. So when I first started praying, I just simply repeated a lot of the big book prayers in AA, the third step prayer, the third step prayer, and the 7-step prayer, and the Lord's Prayer, and the Serenity Prayer. Right? I do just simply ask God to help me get through this day and help me with my daily challenges. And then slowly but surely, I got in the habit of praying. This is another constructive coping mechanism. Okay, you might not believe when you start praying. That's okay. Just do it anyways. But I got in the habit of praying the last thing at night and the first thing in the morning. And it helped keep me centered throughout the day. And gradually, I began to talk to God as if he or she, we don't know if God was a he or she. And there's a part in the Bible that says, I created man, man and woman in the likeness of me. So, I just started creating and talking to them like they were an older sage, right? And people think, well, how do you pray? You talk to God. You have a conversation with him. That's it. No magical thing. Sometimes I just say, it's just like this morning. I say, hey, good morning, God. Thank you for another day. And I just pray you watch over me and my family and help me do your will, not mine. It's that simple some days, okay? And I know a lot of you right now are probably going, but Randy, you don't understand things that I've done. God can't forgive me, not with things I've done. He'll never listen to me. There's no way. Well, again, I know that feeling because I used to think the exact same thing. There's no way. How can God forgive me? Matter of fact, that's why I went out, because I already knew I was going to hell. I'd done too many bad things in my life, and there's no way God was going to have anything to do with me. But that's a lie. So, the way I got around that may work for you. So try it yourself. Here's the key that people they cringe at, but just tell God whatever's on your mind. Seriously. If you're angry at him, tell him you're pissed off at him. If you believe in God, God is everything or God is nothing. There is no in between. He knows exactly what you're thinking. So tell him. Get it out of your head. Get it off your chest. If you think praying is a joke, tell him that you think it's a joke. I don't know what this is going to do, God, but I'm going to keep doing it because, people are telling me it works. So I'm going to do it until I see something. But just tell him, don't hold back. Get it all out. Just get it all out and be consistent in your praying. It's really important that you're consistent. You can't pray for a miracle one day and then not pray again for a month, and then you're going to go back and say, God, I asked for a miracle a month ago and you didn't do nothing. Well, I wonder why. You're going to him for one thing and one thing only. If he doesn't create it, or he doesn't provide this miracle, you're not going to go back to him. No, sorry, it doesn't work that way. You got to be consistent with him. Sometimes God's calling on us, and sometimes the miracle that God has for us, we might see it, we might know what it's going to be, and then we expect it to happen right away. But like in my calling with the foundation, it was a vision I had. If I would have started it, opened it when I first wanted to open it, it would have flopped. It would have been a disaster. God has a plan. He sees my future. He's going to open it when it's the right time, not me. I still had a lot of work to do. I just know the more that I prayed, the better I felt. And slowly the anger toward God dissipated. Okay? Remember, everybody's blaming everything on God and the church. Understandable. I did it for 38 years. So remember this. It's not God. God gives man free will. It's man. Man's the one that creates the sins. Man's the one that does the damage. He's a gentleman. He's not going to step in. He'll use his voice softly to remind somebody, as he did me on February 1st, 2006. He's going to do little things like that, but man's got free will. He's not going to make you do anything. So it's man that creates these problems as a distraction from God and the church. I hope you can understand that. And if you don't, then hit me up on my life coaching page, and we'll get you set up, and we'll start talking about it and help you work through that. I promise you'll be better off for it. I started to get relief from my anxieties and fears. I was staying sober. It's something I had not been able to do on my own, no matter how hard I had tried. And after that, I began to meditate. Praying, my spiritual counselor taught me, is talking to God, whereas meditating is simply listening to God. You just got to quiet your mind and listen. The hardest part for me was finding the willingness to sit quietly and still. But gradually, I learned how to do it, and I listened for the answers I was seeking. Okay? You just got to learn to do it. They'll come. Might not come right away, but they'll come. A lot of times it would only take 5-10 minutes at the most of meditation before any of the answers would even come. The other morning I sat down and got on my knees again, and there wasn't even 5 minutes before the answers literally started coming to my mind. He started talking to me within less than 5 minutes. So all these are just a few types of the coping mechanisms and coping skills that I use to continue on my journey. Finding the things that make you feel good about yourself without, this is the key, without altering your state of mind with some harmful chemical or intentionally distracting you from doing the work you have to do. Okay? So you want to find those good coping skills. Developing is going to take time. So be patient with yourself. It's important that you're patient with yourself. So just to recap on what they are, these are a few. You might be able to use some of them. You can create your own list, but with cycling, hiking, meditating, playing a musical instrument, playing with a beloved pet, practicing yoga, surfing, walking on the beach, or fishing, okay? And praying and meditating. Those are all constructive coping mechanisms that if you choose to develop will help you to have a better life, okay? Will help you have a better life. All right, so that's done. That's it for chapter 4 of my book. Next week, we're going to dive into chapter 5. It's spiritual abuse, which is going to be a really important one because a lot of people, they're walking around, and even people that are going to church, they're there, but they're really having a hard time believing there's a God. Okay, so we're going to talk about spiritual abuse starting next week. Remember to visit the website, courageoushealers.org, and while you're there, we are looking to move to the next level of obtaining a facility here in the Coachella Valley, but we need your help. It's going to take money, and I can't do it by myself. So, hey, Dave, hey, Laura, can't do it by myself. So if you check out the webpage, okay, there's a donate button on there, or if you know somebody here in the Valley, Coachella Valley, that might have a small office, 750 square feet, no more than 1,000, but right around 750 space that's available, and is willing to donate that space, or rent or lease at a minimum cost, or donate it with in-kind contribution, let me know by instant messaging me, or you can simply go and donate on our webpage. You can do a one-time donation, or you can set yourself up to do a monthly donation. Right at the top of the first page, you click on the donate page. It's right there. It's really easy to do. Okay, so any help you guys could provide would be wonderful. We can't do this by yourself. It's an uphill battle right now, just talking about what I'm talking about. Also, visit my life coaching website, Change Your Life Story Now. Fill out the contact form if you're interested, at least to start the conversation and see if coaching is right for you. I promise you that it's a different way of looking at life, and it will make a big difference in your life if you're willing to do the work. And I'll respond in most cases. As soon as I get the message, if I'm available, I usually respond immediately, but always within 4 hours, okay? So I just got one question for you. What are you waiting for? There's no day like today to start your new life, okay? Go to that website. You can read about my life coaching. And one last reminder about my book, Healing the Wounded Child Within. It's on Amazon. It's on paperback, Kindle, and audiobook. And actually, for me, I'm selling quite a few books on audiobook. I'm actually kind of amazed. So, but you can get it in those 3 different what I'm going to say, platforms or whatever. But paperback, Kindle, and audiobook. Okay, so if you want a copy, you can go over there and get it. If you're here in the Valley, just see me and I'll get you one. Okay. I also have my 30-day devotional to wholeness, which is great devotional for couples or singles also, but couples like to read it together. There's contemplative questions. And I have the 7-day challenge workbook. They're all available on Amazon. All right, guys. Next week, we'll start chapter 5, talking about the spiritual abuse, as I said. You all have a marvelous, marvelous week. And if nobody's told you they love you today, Randy does. But more importantly, and most importantly, God does. Thanks, y'all, and be blessed. Everybody, happy Monday morning to you all. Beautiful day. It's in the air here in the Coachella Valley.